So here is our syllabus for today. We're looking at preventative care, captive trauma, critical interventions, and we'll wrap up with ecological adaptations. Let's get to it. All right, round one, preventative care. We're kicking things off with physical enrichment for some of our largest and, potentially dangerous mammals. Now, positive reinforcement is absolutely crucial here. It's all about training the animals to voluntarily participate in their own healthcare using rewards. Just watch these rescue giraffes. They've been conditioned to voluntarily step right up to the fence for their daily hoof checks. And why does that matter? Well, as a vet, you want to avoid heavy sedation whenever you possibly can. Plus, a giraffe's legs are unbelievably powerful. If we get spooked, a single kick to the chest can literally crush your ribs and stop your heart in a second. So getting them to voluntarily participate isn't just convenient, it's quite literally life-saving for both the animal and you. To pull this off safely, the keepers use this awesome, highly specialized tool. It honestly looks like a giant oven mitt covered in little spikes, kind of giving the giraffe a nice foot massage. Using this glove, keepers can safely scrub and maintain the hooves, keeping the animals totally stress-free, before these towering guys are released back out into the 50-acre multi-species savanna alongside the zebras and wildebeests. But preventative care isn't just about hoof checks. Mental and physical conditioning are a huge piece of the puzzle. Let's look at the standard African cheetah and the king cheetah. Fun fact, they are actually the exact same species. The king cheetah just has a naturally occurring recessive gene that gives it those distinct spots and that cool mane on its back. But genetic variations aside, they share the exact same physical traits. They can both accelerate from 0 to 70 kilometers per hour in just 2 seconds. They are sprint athletes, not endurance runners. Because of that, high-speed lure racing is an absolute requirement here. We constantly evaluate these cats to make sure this enrichment is keeping their muscles fit and their minds sharp. Moving right along to round 2, captive trauma. Let's see how that preventative care groundwork builds into rehabilitating severe trauma cases. Honestly, the hardest reality of this work is dealing with an animal's past. Take this massive male bull hippo. His whole life, he was a circus performer. Every single day, he was walked out of a tiny metal box with a concrete floor, paraded around, and his only contact with water was just being hosed down for a few minutes. For an animal whose entire biology is designed around submerging in water, that's just horrific. But look at his sanctuary present. After a 90-day quarantine and some careful socialization using bollard partitions to safely introduce him to a rescued female, he's now thriving out in a giant, clean, natural lake exactly where he belongs. And here's the thing about captive trauma. It doesn't just cause immense stress, it actively erases natural survival skills. Out in the wild, giant river otters are fiercely aggressive. They're actually capable of fending off jaguars. But these particular rescues, they arrived from a small zoo completely lacking basic instincts. Get this, they didn't even know how to swim in their pool. And when we offered them live catfish, they just batted them around and played with them. They had totally lost their natural hunting drive. Reteaching those wild behaviors is intense, and honestly, it requires extreme caution from the staff. Because they are naturally such fierce protectors of their babies, the keepers literally have to use riot shields during behavioral enrichment sessions. It's wild, but that careful exposure totally worked. Their natural instincts finally kicked in, and now these otters are beautifully enjoying their aquatic habitat. Okay, round 3. Critical interventions. We're heading over to the massive 3-acre reptile facility now for a crucial lesson in medical procedures. The subject of this intervention is the spider tail viper. This is a highly venomous, dry desert species from Iran. As adults, they develop this incredible spider-like caudal lure on their tail to trick their prey. It's fascinating. But as babies, they are notoriously difficult to keep in captivity and will frequently refuse to eat on their own. That means our vet team has to step in immediately with strict manual feeding procedures to ensure they survive. As future vets, you absolutely have to master this delicate assist feeding procedure. Here's how it goes. Step 1, you carefully secure the tiny, very deadly snake behind the neck on an exam table using a rubber-tipped penning tool. Step 2, you offer the prey to trigger their natural bite response. And step 3, this is the incredibly tricky part, you slightly loosen your fingers and gently massage the prey down. You have to be so incredibly precise here to avoid damaging their tiny heart and other small vital organs that are clustered right near the surface. Finally, round 4. Ecological adaptations. Let's look at how we cater to the wildly unique needs of our specialized sanctuary residents. Take the sandcat. Now, even though their conservation status is thankfully least concern, they are fascinating. With their cryptic camouflage, they look just like adorable little house kittens. But do not let that fool you. They are fierce desert predators. Their most incredible adaptation, though, is how they hydrate. If conditions get really harsh, they can survive for days without drinking a single drop of water. They literally extract all the moisture they need directly from their prey, which is mostly birds, lizards, and small mammals. It's an amazing survival strategy. Jumping from the dry desert to the deep rainforest, check out the Malayan tapir. These panda-colored, highly aquatic mammals have an amazing, specialized prehensile nose, which basically just means it's fully capable of grasping things. When we toss toys like basketballs into their deep pools for enrichment, they use that amazing nose as a foraging tool and literally like a built-in snorkel while they're submerged and splashing around. And lastly, we have the brilliant African black-footed cat. These tiny predators are notoriously bullish and fiercely independent. Standard play doesn't really work for them because they are so intensely driven by their predatory instincts. So we bring in specialized mechanical hunting decoys from the US that spin around and simulate injured birds. This perfectly triggers their natural hunting sequence. They get to stalk, crouch down like a tiny panther, and make the kill, which keeps those brilliant wild instincts incredibly sharp. So that wraps up our critical rounds for today's Explainer, but I want to leave you all with a question. As future wildlife veterinarians, how are you going to balance critical medical interventions with the restoration of natural wild behaviors in rescued animals? When you look at these incredible recoveries, from massaging a giraffe's hooves to reteaching traumatized otters how to swim, how will you step up and shape the future of global wildlife rehabilitation? Think about that as you continue your training. Always strive to understand the wild within the clinical. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you in the next one.